So in my previous video, I talked about how you could basically make this model where we transfer in some animations we wanted, but in the animations that we transferred, the weapon was using the wrong hand as its fulcrum to move around. So the animation data wouldn't transfer, so we made two copies of the weapon. And that worked pretty well, but in this video I'd like to cover an alternative option to get the same result. If we go back to the original source material, right, one of the things that you can do is you can toggle on all the nodes and select all of it, and then do a mirror X. And after you do this, sometimes it gets a little bit off-centered because it uses the center of like the sum of all the points, like a geometric mean, rather than center 0, 0. It's a little silly. But if you do that and you just drag him back in place, it should be fine. And then now what you'll see is we have this same character, but he's using the other hand. Now he's a left-handed guy. So what we should be able to do after that is just import from file, get ourselves that Uruk War Leader, and then go in the animations and leave everything again except attack 1, attack 2, and stand ready, and then do a motion from all transfer on all the various nodes. Remembering, of course, that we want the weapon to go with the sword like we did last time. We can leave out the objects, and I think geosets 3 and 5 were things that we can make not visible because that was the guts and the glow in the background, the sort of like portrait background. So once you've done that, and we've got both of those, you can click Finish on this guy, and you can see he should be about the same, right? He's got the same walk animation, he's got the same stand animation, he's got the same stand 2, but now he actually has the attack 1 and the attack 2 like we intended, minus the fact that the axe is still a little bit off-center. So in this case, to actually fix that, what you can do, and I'm pushing F here, so ASDF are the hotkeys for this select vertices, faces, groups, nodes. I probably should write that up there somewhere. Maybe I'll write that up there later. But those are ASDF. So what that means is by pushing F, I can enter animation mode really fast. And if I go to these new attack animations, you can see that the axe is not quite where we want it. So what you could do is just toggle off all the nodes except the axe, which should be arm left, sword. Okay, it's called sword. Really, in my mind, it's an axe. But yeah, basically you go to where this thing is, and you see that it's doing all this stuff, and it's about right. But notably, right above it is this arm node. And I wonder what happens if we rotate that, right? So that seems like that's moving also. The real nice thing that we could do would be if we could move it, but only in this animation. So I think what we want to do is turn off animation. So I just pushed A. It's the same as clicking back up here. And then we're just going to make an extra bone. We're going to make the hierarchy slightly more complicated. So we're going to put our extra bone right here. And then we need to give it a name. So click back on Translate, which gives us selection ability. And then this is our new guy right here. This is not Bone Arm 2. So our new guy, make him parent to Bone Arm 2L. It's the left-hand side, right? Arm 2L. So now he's in the hierarchy, but he's named Bone 01. So then rename it, instead of Bone 01, you want to name it Weapon Helper. Actually, weapon is a special phrase. Let's call it Bone Sword Helper. Sure, because the other one's called Sword. Doesn't quite make sense, but it's pretty okay. So then we just toggle on the sword down here, and go ahead and tell the sword to be a child of Sword Helper, who's a child of the hand. This should mean that our animations will stay intact, but now we can move Sword Helper to retroactively move Sword and keep all of Sword's animations, right? It's sort of a way of cheating to just kind of help ourselves out. That way we have Sword and Sword Helper. So we can turn on Sword Helper and hide Sword. And also, if I move this right now, I'm not editing the animation. So I'm just trying to get Sword Helper to be about the same place as Sword. That's pretty good. And what that's going to do for us is that's going to mean if I push F, so if I click back up here on Select Nodes and Animate, and then I go back to the Attack 1 animation, I can start to play with Sword Helper using like a rotate. But in such a way that we don't damage the other animations. So now I can actually rotate this, so like I should be able to, you know, kind of rotate it more like that, like how we'd want it, maybe up a little bit like that, and that ought to stay throughout the remainder of that animation. Now let's check it out over here. So this is attack 1. Now you can see attack 1 looks a lot better. But in stand 1, he's still in the original place where it was, because we only moved it in attack 1. This has another side effect. It doesn't move in attack 2. You can see in attack 2 it's still wrong. So what we need to do is we need to copy this as a frame. So just copy, but not the entire model. So not copy frame whole model. Just copy. Just copy this green guy, and then go into attack 2, push OK, scroll this back to the beginning here, and click paste. And paste that back in the start of attack 2. And that way attack 2 will start to look good as well. So then we have attack 2 and we have attack 1. But if you look at all those old animations, you know, like stand, okay, this one was broken to begin with, but pretty much all those other old animations, you can see that everything is how it used to be. So we have that, and now our last and final touch is we got to go back to stand ready right here and put that thing starting in the same exact place. So he looks good in stand ready also. This will get you pretty much the same result, but we've effectively changed his hand so that the fulcrum problem is solved. So let's go ahead and save this as Hammerhead Executor Final V2 as a new version. And then we want to be able to test it in game. You can only test it if it has valid textures. So we could set this again to textures footman.blp. Or even better, I wonder if we could do the captain. The captain. Maybe we can't do captain. Units, human, captain, captain. I think it's the captain, isn't it? The captain, the captain. There we go. We'll give him that one. That'll be pretty nice. And this, we could honestly probably just set to the same. Something like that. So now you can see he looks about, you know, we just got him some textures so he'll render correctly. And we should be able to then save this guy as, you know, Hammerhead Executor Rhetoric Test V2. And this guy, he should show the orb of fire in game because he's only got one weapon, and the fulcrum is his left hand. And we've just gone ahead and used the left hand in all of the animations, which you could argue maybe is or isn't what you want, because it does mean that as he goes from stand to attack, he's going from a one-handed pose to a two-handed pose, but he was going to be doing that anyway. So let's go ahead and give it a test. Here's Rhetoric Test V2. We'll just save that right up. And let's go ahead and apply it to the character and give it a test. Rhetoric Test V2. As you can see, he uses the other hand, but it still looks good. We should be able to put it in game, and hopefully it'll look good in game. There you go. You can see that we still have the portrait, although admittedly, I think the portrait might have been affected by our camera flip. Yeah, so there is an issue with this one. The orb of fire looks great now. We totally fixed the orb of fire, and we fixed all the animations, except I didn't fix the Blade Master animation. I left it be. But you can see that the animations look pretty good now. And the problem, really, is that camera. Which, the reason the camera has a problem is that when I flipped all of his animations back in this mode here, that's where animation right now, back in this mode here, when I just toggle off all the nodes and on all the nodes, and we have all the nodes, I forgot to also toggle on the camera. So what this means is that really, what we should do is select the camera, do a tool mirror, and mirror the camera also, and then try to get it to be in about the same position it used to be. You could save that and put that in the game, and you can see, does your camera look how you intend it to look. So that's pretty good. Let's give it a spin. Let's try it out. Okay. See that's quite a lot bit more like probably what he should have looked like in his camera. And of course you can play with that and make it however you like. But you can see now he has the Orb of Fire attachment correctly on his axe. And he still has our new animations where he does these different things. I left in the old animations. So you can see sometimes he was doing the old ones, sometimes he's doing the new ones. And sometimes he does the two different stand readies, which is kind of weird, right? So you might want to delete them again. I was just starting over from the source material in this example. So there you go. That's how you would tweak that and do it again, but a little bit better so that everything's how you want it to be.